Hello and welcome back, everybody. I am thrilled to be back in New York today with this very special Jason Galka show because the cast and crew of Ringers is joining me. They have just completed their pilot most recently and are entering their first season. Congratulations to you all. Big round of applause for you. And joining me first offhand is Rebecca Barco, followed by Cornelius Bethay. Oh, I thought I was going to get it right. Fancy. My dear friend Deborah Toscano is back. Mwah. And also joining us is Audrey Federici. Welcome to you all. Well, actually, Cornelius, welcome. Thank you for welcoming us into your home because this is not only the set of Ringers where you filmed the pilot, pieces of the pilot, but this is also your home. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to start with you two. You are the executive producers of this hilarious comedy. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, the whole idea came up from my years as working as an actual ringer in a church job that I've had for the past 15 years. And I would sit around in rehearsal and think, is this all really happening? And I thought this would make great TV. And so I pitched the idea to Cornelius and I said, what do you think about this? And he said, I've been dying to write something. Let's do it. And the rest is history.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I love the name, the production company name you came up with, Survival Job Media.
Yeah.
What's the theory behind that?
Well, we both have them. Like, I work a desk job every day, and I, sneak in all of my other creative projects around that. And, this is based on a survival job she had as a ringer in a church choir.
As a voice major, that's kind of what we do, is we are church musicians.
Yeah. So I thought, well, why not? We need a name, and, I'd come up with these other things. And I was like, Survival Job Media, we have survival jobs. Let's just, use it. Go with it.
And you're producing this comedy, and this is sort of like real life for you, too. Like, you both wanted something that, you feel like you're living television. So now you're taking your lives and putting into television, right?
Mm-hmm.
Inspired by our lives.
Inspired by.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, she had a bunch of, like you said, she had done it for a while. Mm-hmm. So, she came to me and she had all these ideas. She's like, I've got years of stories. And so I said, you know what? We'll get on, Google Docs, just spit them all out, and then I'll see what we can piece together, and then just from back and forth, stealing pieces, because I wasn't there, so it's easy for me to say, oh, but then what if this happened? I would get inspiration from her real life stories,
and then I would get all upset. I'd say, no, that's not how it would go, and he would rein me in and say, no, this is our story. It's a fictitious story, and it just grew from there.
Wow, and you're both actors in the comedy too, so tell us about your roles.
I play Rachel Clark, and she is kind of the straight guy in the chaos that happens. And she's the alto section leader trying to get back to New York after a breakup with her boyfriend living in Connecticut. So that's her journey, is to get out.
And how close is that to your real life? I feel like there's some real Rebecca in there too, right?
There is. I've always been dying to get to the city, and one day I'll get there. And I am the alto section leader of a church job. A church choir, I should say. And so, a lot of her journey, my journey, is her journey as well.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And also, just speaking to, as a writer for the show, I always think it's easy, if you're going to create something, why write something, to stretch, when you can just, play around with your own, tempo and things like that. Mm-hmm. So even though the character and who she is completely fabricated, I still wrote with Rebecca's voice in mind. So I'm like, oh, she could totally land this joke. So I like it when you can just talk, So there's no acting. Let's just
the opening scene, was just us.
The scene with both of us, I'm like, oh, just write this, and there was 20 different versions.
Was it as freezing out there doing that first scene as it looked?
Yes. Yes. We had a cold snap. It was -10 degrees. We would shoot one take and then run inside for 20 minutes, warm up, and then okay, let's go back out there and do it again.
There's no business like show business.
Our poor boom operator, we were afraid he was going to lose some digits there. And so we don't have insurance for that, so let's go inside for a little bit.
And the production assistant that was on the roof, we had one that was on a roof with a light box shining down on us, in the wind, and then we'd be like, we're going to go back inside now. Come down the ladder.
But he was a good sport.
He just graduated from my college, and he had actually interviewed at my temp agency where I work by day, and I was like, wait a second. I need someone to help on this thing I'm shooting this weekend. What are you doing? He's like, yeah, sure. Nice to meet you. Come on.
We're on the upper roof. Yeah, good luck. And the wind was tremendous.
I remember it was such a bad winter this past winter this year. Oh my gosh.
But
it was the only time we had to shoot it. So.
Yeah. No, I mean, as an actor too, I did a scene for Believe, which was so freezing this past year too, and we did it in a snowstorm, right dead in a snowstorm. Snow's coming down. We're shooting scenes on the streets of New York, and then they used my car also, and it got stuck. So like 10 of the production crews were like shoveling my car out so that I could get out and go home.
Oh my gosh. That's insane.
It was bad. Yeah, so I
paid
feel
extra
for
for
you.
that, right?
Yes, yes. Oh gosh, overtime, everything. But
of
yeah,
course,
so
the
I feel
actor
for
in
you.
me, like, because I'm trying to be like, well, I'm not cold. I'm like, oh wait, no, but it's freezing and we're out here. So even though like I'm considerably taller than her, so I had to hunch down in the scene to stay in the frame. But then the actor in me is like, but still remember it's cold, so you should probably like hold yourself. But I'm like, it's 10 degrees out. And I'm like, make sure you act like it's cold. Like,
And you've acted everywhere, from U.S. to Japan. Like you've been all over.
Yeah.
Wow.
I toured Chicago for a few years, so
Nice.
like all over the place, and so it was kind of fun.
And also on stage. So like, do you have a preference? Do you prefer to be on stage or on camera?
I love being on stage because that's where I started. But after this project, when we realized like, oh, let's shoot this thing, I started doing so much research on, cameras and filming, and I've never directed for film before.
Yeah.
And now I've kind of been bitten by the bug, and I'm just like, even on the streets of New York when I'm walking by today, I walked by a set and I'm like looking at their lighting, and I'm like, oh, okay, and oh, that's interesting. I bet that's probably used for this, and what kind of camera do they have? Not that I could.
So yeah, I started doing that too, just from like all of this. Like, I mean, people at home can't see, but there's like a whole crew around us right now, and like that's the most interesting part of like a show to me.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And we didn't know anything. We're, an opera kid and a music theater kid, and
Yeah.
now we're doing film, and to learn all about this, it was very arduous.
Yeah.
Have you acted before, Rebecca?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say you look like a natural when you're out there doing the scenes. We have some footages we'll show you throughout the show, but I mean, it's an amazing. I laughed hysterically, and my friend Deborah's here. She's done my show several times. You play the role of Dawn. Tell us about Dawn.
Well, how much time do we have? No, she is quite outlandish, outspoken, very brass and crass and crude, and she lives with her brother, or I should say, or if Dawn would say, her brother lives with her.
This is your living
this
room,
is her,
Dawn.
This is where we filmed my living room scene, when I was on this couch with my feet up on the table in my pink muumuu. She's very, she's very glamorous in her own head, though. She's so not, and she wears a muumuu, but she's got all of her jewelry on, all her makeup on, her hair is done at all times.
And the pink lipstick is always on the coffee table.
Just in case she gets the phone call that she's got to go out for a date, or she's a shopping spree. She's always ready to go, but she always has the muumuu on. But she's all dolled up. But
she's hilarious.
It was a funny role. I mean, when I came in for the audition, I love when I come in to read for something that the dialogue is how I speak in real life. Not as crass, obviously, but it was so funny, and it clicked right away. So it felt really, really good. And I walked out, I was like, bye guys, thanks. I'm like, probably not going to call, whatever. It's a good audition, they were nice. Okay, bye.
What did you guys think of Deborah when she read for you?
Well, I have to say, we had originally, Cornelius came up with the idea of Dawn's mom. She came in the audition, nope. Dawn,
Like we're at the table, and I was
Dawn's
like,
mom.
it's her sister. That's it.
Yeah.
Done. We have to use her. Yeah.
So we had a fun audition. It was great, and then when we shot, it was just they were very cool because they didn't they allowed me to improvise on the script. So even though I had the framework of the script to work off of, it wasn't word by word. I was allowed to improv a little bit, so that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So it was
It's hilarious.
A fun day of shooting.
So Dawn's brother isn't actually here today on set with us.
Marty,
but
where's Marty?
Where is Marty?
Where's Marty?
We kind of suspect Marty's gay, though. We don't know what's going on there, right? What's happening with
She
him?
suspects. So she calls him out on it. He's like, "Are you out of your mind?" She's like, "I know." He's like, "Look, it's okay. Should have come out years ago." She's insistent that he's gay, and he's like, "I'm not gay." So. But very funny, very funny.
It is funny. I mean, you're a funny lady. I met you actually as an off-Broadway actress, and that's how we became like this.
Yes.
So, like, I'm going to kind of ask you the same question. Like, you've done film, you've done TV now, obviously. You're doing this comedy, but you still stick with theater. You're in My Big Gay Italian Wedding and Funeral every weekend. What's, like, your preference, or what's the transition like for you doing film and then doing stage?
You have to have a lot of patience to do film or TV as opposed to theater. Theater it's live. It happens. You hit it, you quit it, and then you do it the next night again. Or the next scene comes up and you just whatever happens. I mean, it's live. So in live theater, anything could happen. Anything could go wrong. Props could fall. Whatever. But
And it's happened.
Yes, and it has happened. And you just roll. You go with the flow. With film and TV, obviously. if the take's not right, you do it again.
Yeah.
But then, and if you do another angle on a take, you have to wait for the crew to set up the lighting. So it's very tedious, and it's a lot of patience, and it's a lot of waiting around. And the moments that you get to act and you get to do the scene, you're like raring to go, and like okay, cut, do it again. And you're like, yeah.
After like the 50th take, it kind of kills the moment.
It
It's
does.
like,
It does. 'Cause-
okay,
yes,
smile.
Yeah. 'Cause with like live theater, everything is very spontaneous.
Yeah.
So when you and everything's very big in theater. You're very big, and voice and arm movement, and in film and TV, everything's very small and very, including the hair. Things that I'm not used to that. Things need to be smaller and more contained.
Are you an actress that feeds off of the audience?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, very much so. Although, I mean, I don't allow that to dictate my performance. I feel like the roles that were written, they were not written for me, but the roles that I have taken on, luckily, are fantastic in wedding and funeral. And actually, any role that I've taken on or that I've been hired for, I feel like that it was definitely written for me in a sense, or at least I think that in my own head because I make them my own, and it's not that they're the same character, but it's a little bit of me that I'd like to throw into that. I mean, in there's what do they say? There's truth in comedy, or comedy in truth.
Yeah.
So I always bring a lot of my own antics to the characters, but I love both. I mean, they're so different, yet both so exciting. So,
Yeah.
I
No.
love that you do that. Like that's why we were like, well, screw it. She's not the mom anymore. It's just the sister because you did your thing, and it was like, well, I want to see more of that.
Right.
Screw what we wrote.
But the audition was easy. Like I said, the script was written. It was funny.
Yeah.
When I read something that's funny and I go to audition for it, I totally feel like I can just make it my own. And I walk out, I feel like I've had a great audition. Whether I get hired or not, that doesn't matter to me. It just matters that I have a great audition, because that's a performance in itself as well. So if I'm not right for one thing, the producers will rewrite it and make me something else. Like they did, and I love them.
Wow.
For that. I love them for that.
Diva Deb Toscano here. I love it.
We just had a ball filming
No,
here,
I
and
can
we
tell.
just, they let me roll with the script and the character, and it was just, so funny. So
Yeah.
funny. So.
I mean, I met you all prior to the show, and it's like a little family here. Like, everybody gets along so great. And that really helps when you're spending that many hours on set together.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure. We actually do have a clip of your clip here in Ringers that we would like to show if nobody minds.
That's
Take a look.
fun.
I don't see what's wrong with wanting to get married and move into my own place someday. Soon, hopefully.
Do you realize that the economy is in the toilet?
Don't you realize that I have a job? Who's gonna fire the high school math teacher who directs the plays after school?
Yeah, okay, whatever. Don't you know that they're cutting the arts left and right?
I do that for no pay.
Oh, smart. Yes, very, very smart, brother. That is the exact reason why you need to stay here. No pay, no rent.
No privacy.
You have the entire basement.
A basement. Lift your legs.
I feel like I'm at the gynecologist's office now.
So, Audrey, I'm going to move on to you now. You are actually playing the role of Evelyn. It's spelled Evelyn, but Evelyn. Tell us about Evelyn.
Well, she is someone that somehow resonated with me. My background is opera, and she's a bit of an homage to a number of the teachers and the singers that I have experienced in conservatory and in my life as an opera singer. So she resonated pretty quickly. She jumped off the script also. When I got the script and went in for the audition, I thought, oh, I know her. I know her. I could know her. Yes. So it was really true. I mean, it was really wonderfully written, and it was easy to do. She was easy to pick up. For me. And the audition process was great. I mean, we had a great time.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I mean, have you acted before?
I have. I
Okay.
have. But my background is mostly in the theater, from opera now theater. On that, so it's the same as what Deb was saying. It's a bit different,
Yeah.
But luckily, Evelyn can do her arms, and she,
Yes.
Oh, whoops! Well, I'm out of frame. Oh well, just get a bigger, do something
hilarious.
bigger.
Hilarious. So funny.
So that that's where she came from.
Yeah.
And they let me play.
Yeah.
They just let her be.
Well, you
who
like
she
found it right in
is.
the pocket. So like for auditioning, it was like oh, well, just do it again. Like, not that we have anything to change. Let's just see what else you do. Like, and those are the people they were like, let's get them. Because even in the room, I'm like, oh my gosh, I just want to watch your performance. I forgot that we wrote it. I'm just like,
So as actors, like, I mean, I know that it's a tough job regardless, but it's obviously so much easier to act in something that you're very familiar with, that really clicks with you. But have you ever been faced with roles that you've done it, but it was harder to click with that character?
Yes, those are the roles that you don't get cast for. No. When you audition, you're like, yeah, no, that was, yeah, wow. Not happening. You don't get that phone call.
Yeah. It's kind of true, though. Like, those are the ones where you're like, well, I'm looking on the material, and I'm like, how did I get called in for this?
It's
okay,
so
I'll
off
go.
me, or it's so, like, not who you are. You know, it's...
So as actors, you have to make that call yourself. Like, maybe a casting director will call you and say, listen, we think you might be right for this, but in your head, you may not be. So
but
how do
you
you
go
handle it?
anyway.
Yeah.
You go anyway.
Well, I was once called in for a 50-year-old Jewish woman, and I called the casting director and I said, you did see my headshot, right? You know, I thought, I know I'm getting older, but let's be kind here. And they said, well, just come in and do what you do. And I thought, all right, you know, and did my best, and obviously didn't book it. But yeah, there's sometimes, and I'll genuinely ask, I'll make sure.
A couple weeks ago, I actually had, it was for a very well-known musical. I was called in for one role, and I was like, I'm so right for this other one. So I chatted with my agent, and I was like, I don't want to be like that person. I totally want to go in, but can we just let them know I think I'm better for this? And they called, and they were like, okay, that's fine. Yeah, just come in. You can read for that. So that worked in my favor, because then I'm like, didn't book it, but still, like, I was more comfortable going in.
Right.
Because I knew, oh, I can do this character and commit to this and show something.
How long have you all been in the field of acting? We'll just kind of go down the line with that one.
As long as I can remember, to
Really?
be honest. Yeah.
Wow.
Just in one way or the
What
other.
was your inspiration? Or
Um,
who was your inspiration?
That's a great question. Just the theater. I remember as a kid, you know, that we take the one school trip to the theater, and it was just, to me, the best day ever, and to see it, and I wanted to be on the stage. So.
Wow. So Cornelius, now you, like, what was your inspiration to become an actor?
Well, when I started when I was about 14 in high school, I did like a community theater show, and from there I got an apprenticeship, and then I've just been doing it for like the last 14 years.
Wow.
And in like the last 4 of those years, I've tried to quit a couple times. You know, I'm here in the city, I'm like temping, and I'm looking at other jobs that, look, I could do that.
Give up all this, being on TV and doing an interview?
And then I get wrapped back into it. I'm like, you know what? It's fine. I've done it for like 14 years. Like, do something else with your life. And then a project comes along, and I'm like, oh yeah, I like the TV interviews, and I like the shooting, and I like the rehearsal, and then I end up right back at it, and I'm like, okay. And my mom's like, I don't know what you were thinking, like, whatever. So.
Yeah. Very cool. Deb, how about you, hon?
Well, primarily I was a singer. I grew up in a music household,
Yeah.
you know, from when I was a little kid. So I really didn't have a choice but to be thrown into the arts because my dad's a musician. And then, you know, I played music, then I did dancing school, and then I knew I could sing, so I started singing, and then acting in school. And I remember in, I think, the 4th grade, I played Betsy Ross in the show. In the show 1776. I was Betsy Ross. I have no recollection. All I remember was walking up on the stage. I don't know what I did. I don't know if I had any lines, but I was Betsy Ross. That was my first credit. And then, you know, through school, high school, and then, you know, theater in college and everything, and still always singing and everything. But then a lot of my singing work kind of went by the wayside. And I started to turn more towards acting because I needed more of a creative outlet because, like I said, singing wasn't really, you know, moving fast enough for me. And so I started auditioning, and then I started to get some roles, and the rest is history. Wow. So a lot of fun. I've had a lot of fun gigs. Which is
Very
cool.
cool.
But yeah, like forever and a day. Like Rebecca said, as long as you can remember. You know, so.
Audrey?
You know, like everyone, I think I sang from a really young age. I was in the choir from a young age, and my family isn't musical. I mean, they appreciate music, but there's no musicians. And so I think when I said to my parents, I want to go to school to be an opera singer, they just said yes. They absolutely said yes. They said, do what you want to do.
That's great.
And they were wonderful and wonderfully supportive, and still are. You know, they really,
great.
really are. And now I'm at a certain age that it seems to.
We don't talk about our age on that, no. They're a lot younger than us. We don't talk about that.
Yeah.
Well, it seems to make sense now that the theater part of it makes sense now.
Yeah.
And I think theater changed from when I was younger. I mean, I love opera. I always loved opera, but I loved theater. I really did. But I was never a triple threat. I always say, and it's stolen, but I say I'm a singer that moves courageously, and I give it a go. But now I'm of that that ilk where I can be the mom, the aunt, and they're really wonderful roles, and they're really beautifully written roles. I mean, when you talk about when someone writes for you, you kind of think sometimes, get out of my head. How did you know that about me?
Right.
And that's what you end up bringing to the craft and to the art. It's a wonderful experience, and that's in film and theater and opera. I mean, it's just all a continuation of it.
Yeah.
Very cool. I mean, you are no doubt talented. In fact, we have a clip of your shot in Ringers. We'll take a look at that right now.
Just have to get down to the nuts and bolts.
Well, I'm no mechanic, but let's talk.
I want to call you back for Thursday.
Okay.
How is Thursday at 7 p.m.?
No, that's not going to work.
Well, that's when I'm calling back all the females in the show. I need to see how you work with them.
I understand that, but as you may be aware, I am the soprano section leader for the St. James Choir. We have rehearsal that evening beginning at 7, and I couldn't possibly miss.
Yes, but I need to see all of the pieces together.
But you did just say that you were going to use me, and I came all this way, and I sang.
And that is why I need you here, because I can't cast the other females in my show without seeing them up beside you.
Well, I have rehearsal that evening, and I'm not one to miss a rehearsal. I thought all of this was just a formality.
So in the creative side of putting this together, this is really the first project that the two of you have collaborated and put together. So what was the whole experience like? To be executive producers, to be a director, and also to be an actor, to be actors in it as well.
That's a triple threat.
It seems like a whirlwind.
Yeah.
I can't
really has
believe
been.
it's been
Yeah.
over a year that we've been working on this because it's flown by. But it's been really great. We've learned a ton. And it really opened up my perspective. Oh, I can do this. We can create our own work and be successful.
Yeah,
And
no
really,
doubt.
like, we always say, like, theater is, like, one of the most collaborative art forms and things like that. But you tried, like, starting something like this when you don't even live in, like, the same town or let alone the same state. Thank goodness for, like, cloud computing and things like that, and Skype and Google Plus and Hangouts and all that other stuff, using technology to bring us together. And, like, we talk at least twice a week and, like, have a long, like, hour-long phone conversation about things. And
Or two.
and like luckily I have a desk job, so like I can like answer emails all day and like respond to things like in between doing my daily things. But it's amazed me how much I could apply myself to something, because as an actor you show up to a rehearsal, you do your part, or you go to the audition, but to like really have to be the ringmaster, like that's been amazing to see that we could do that.
It makes me so proud of yourselves, too. I mean, it is the first project. The pilot is done. You're going to be coming into the first season now. So let's talk about, like, what's some of the behind-the-scenes things that go on? Like, what's some funny moments? And how long did it take to shoot the pilot?
3 days.
Wow.
Just like the Holy Trinity. Mostly because of budget constraints. We could only rent the equipment for so long, and everyone's schedule and church, the locations, we could only use the church for 1 day. So that was probably
like 12 hours, and it's
the
just like,
scariest.
okay. And the thing is, we spent 6 months working on the script just to pitch it to companies, and then we realized, oh, we should shoot this. So we didn't write it thinking, oh, this is something we can realistically shoot. So our imagination was just wherever. Then we had to figure out, oh, how do we do this? So then that was like really awesome in 3 days to do that, and then editing in another 3 days. The
Wow.
entire thing.
And here you go. You got the pilot coming into season 1. What can we expect in season 1? What's coming up?
Everything. A wedding, a funeral,
Game
some
show.
Oh,
a
Deb's
game
perfect for that. She
show.
does it every weekend.
People falling in love, people trying to fall in love.
Well, guys, thank you so much. Cornelius, thank you for allowing us into your home today, or the set of Ringers, I should say. This was great to be a part of the full experience. And before we go, would you like to leave the website for people to get more information?
www.ringerstheshow.squarespace.com. It is a long one. We're hoping to shorten it. And if you're interested in being a part of the Ringers team, you feel free to make a donation. We're accepting it. There's a link on the website. Or just follow along. We're going to have Twitter accounts for each of the 4 Ringers. If you want to check that out, that'll be on the website and I believe on your website. And you will also be seeing Jason in one of the upcoming episodes.
Yeah.
So stay tuned to check it out.
That's my summer secret. It should be very exciting. I'm looking very forward to it. So thank you guys so much. And best of luck overall. I mean, you should be so proud of yourselves. This is your first project. It's got great feedback so far. So be very proud. Mwah. Ladies, thank you so much. Deb, it's always a pleasure seeing you on the show here. And if you have a story you'd like to share with the Jason Galka Show, send me an email, thejasonshow@yahoo.com. And I thank you for joining us as always. See you next time.
The Jason Galka Show is brought to you by Blue Chip Marketing. If you have a great idea and want the whole world to know about it, Blue Chip Marketing is the way to go. They will make sure that your idea expands from your brains worldwide with their powerful media marketing resources and advice that you can't get anywhere else.